Welcome to Sinister Heroes. I'm your host, Danny Iniquitous. Thank you for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, this is a channel about Dungeons and Dragons where we try and take a darker tone with everything we do here. So if you like edgy kind of content, definitely hit that like and subscribe button. A big thank you to our Patreon supporters. We love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And a big thank you to our good friends at Dice Legion. Use the promo code Sinister. Get 10% off all your purchases. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon supporter or using Dice Legion, check out the links in the description. And with all that out of the way, we're going to talk about Minotaurs. Minotaurs, they were an ancient villain in the fantasy era. If you liked Hercules, if you like stuff like that, they were very prevalent in Greek mythology. If you played World of Warcraft, they kind of resemble tauren, but they're like nasty. They've previously been mostly like obedient to evil lords. They lived in mazes. They kept stuff safe. They were kind of like soldiers or guards. They're supposed to be like supernaturally strong. They're imposing, powerful creatures in the mythology. You did not want to meet a Minotaur. They were bad news, and they would just decimate you. The caves or the mazes of the Minotaur, if you could outrun a Minotaur, the maze alone would drive you crazy. There's a lot of great theory behind that, and you can build a lot of cool stuff through that if you want to incorporate starting from an evil area and then becoming something good in the interim. I like the idea of the Minotaur. I feel like the tauren from World of Warcraft really hurts that for me because I grew up playing World of Warcraft and Warcraft 2 because I'm old as dirt, but I remember those games and those were really important to me. A big fan of that series. But it's hard to differentiate the two, and I think the Minotaur suffers from that. So if you can manage to pull that aside and really step into the theory behind a Minotaur, I think you can see some things that are pretty cool. So the Minotaur doesn't have that many abilities. One of the main things that you're going to notice, it does not have dark vision. Again, not having dark vision isn't a detriment. In fact, I feel like it enhances your gameplay now that I'm currently playing a game where I'm using a character that doesn't have it. I like that concept. I like relying on light sources to make the environment more dangerous and insidious to me. It feels like I'm vulnerable. And I like that concept. I really feel like that works out very well. I think it's a cool thing. And I'm enjoying it a lot. I really encourage people to try and step out of that comfort zone and try and play some of these species that don't have dark vision. And again, there's a million ways in-game to get dark vision, so you don't have to worry too much about it if you really don't like it anyway. So first and foremost, Minotaurs have horns. They are big, imposing horns. Usually it states that they're 1 to 3 feet in length, which is pretty dynamic, especially considering how it's coming out of your head. Some Minotaurs have been known to coat their horns in bronze so that way they don't shatter in combat, which is cool. But your horns have an ability. You have horns that you can use to make unarmed strikes. When you hit with them, the strike deals 1d6 plus your strength modifier, piercing damage instead of bludgeoning damage for the normal of an unarmed strike, which is pretty good because usually you get a d4 with something like this, but you're getting a d6, which is pretty good. So it's like a short sword, which is pretty good. And if you're playing like a monk, you could take this 1d6 over the 1d4 currently for your first level of martial arts die. Secondly, you gain Goring Rush. Immediately after you take the dash action on your turn and move at least 20 feet, you can make one melee attack with your horns as a bonus action. Now, early on, when you're before you get really big actions or extra attack, dash isn't really going to be something you're really too concerned about. But early on, this is actually more beneficial to you because you can use that dash and make a bonus action attack. There's a lot of classes that don't have bonus action attacks, and early levels, I'm talking like 1 or 2, a 1d6 plus your strength modifier might be enough to kill something, and you might need to go someplace else quickly. It's not something you'll use a lot, but it is something you might be able to use, and especially at early levels, you might want to use it anyway. Your next ability is Hammering Horns. Immediately after you hit a creature with a melee attack, as part of the attack action on your turn, you can use your bonus action to attempt to push the target with your horns. Target must be within 5 feet of you and no more than one size larger than you. Unless it succeeds on a strength saving throw against your DC, which is based on your proficiency bonus plus your strength, you push it up to 10 feet away from you. Pushing creatures around can be very, very beneficial. It depends on party composition, the kind of environment you're in, or a circumstance that you're in. Sometimes it's next to another party member, and you need to push them away so that way they can get out and save their action for doing something more important. It's a very tactical thing, being able to push enemies, and you get this for free, and it doesn't cost an action. The final ability the regular Minotaur gets is Imposing Presence, which gives you proficiency in either Intimidation or Persuasion. Personally, I'd pick Intimidation because you're a Minotaur, you're kind of a monster, and you have a bad rap around you. That being said, that's one version of the Minotaur. The other versions are pretty similar. The only real dynamic different is for plane shift and Monquette. I don't know a lot of people that use specifically this version, but it does need to be stated that this is a pretty beefy Minotaur. And it kind of reflects the half-orc a lot. The only thing is you don't get dark vision, but you still have your natural weapon, which is still a d6. It gives you proficiency intimidation. It gives you a relentless endurance, which means if you drop to 0 HP, you jump up to 1 instead, and you can only use this feature once per long rest. And it also gives you savage attacks, so when you score a critical hit with a melee weapon, you can roll the weapon's damage die additionally one additional time and add it to the damage of the critical hit. It's pretty beefy. It does have a lot of the things that the half-orc has, so if you're looking for a half-orc alternative, that's a great version to use. I would love to kind of put them both together and give them at least savage attacks, because I think that makes a lot of sense. And, I just give them relentless endurance. You're a Minotaur. It makes sense to me that should be included. Oh, and one other ability that I apologize, I forgot, is Labyrinthian Recall. You always know which direction is north, and you have advantage on any wisdom survival checks you make to navigate or to track. But yeah, I think a combination of the Monquette and the normal versions of it, of the Minotaur, combining, would it be strong? Maybe, but if you really look at it, you get a bonus action after you dash to use your horns. You have an unarmed attack built in, and then you have the ability to push. So it's got a lot of tactical use, and you can do a lot with it, but it's not overpowered by any means. So I think it really makes sense that if you did add those, yes, it would be stronger, but they're all circumstantial, those abilities. And you can go an entire campaign of never using Relentless Endurance. It can happen. Unfortunately, this is a rather short video, and I'm sorry for that. There just isn't too much to go in depth about in regards to the Minotaur. So I really just hope to see more of them. It's one of those creatures that I think looks cool, and you could really do a lot with it. I like the idea of maybe the Minotaur was captured and is in prison, and in exchange for its freedom, it has to complete a certain task, and that's kind of like part of the backstory of your character. I like that. I like being a Minotaur based on a curse. That makes sense to me too. There's a couple of ways you could really grab this kind of fantasy villain and apply it in creative ways and make it a viable hero. Maybe a reluctant hero, or someone that didn't want to do these things but just did it just for their own greedy reasons, and then got turned, or just didn't turn and was just like, look, I'm done, I paid my part, I'm free, let the city burn, I'm out, and then just leave and carry on their adventure. There's a strength to it, and a stoic fear that comes along with a Minotaur. Like, you're not supposed to look at it and go, wow, that's cool. And I think the tauren from World of Warcraft really inhibited that a lot. Because the tauren are really like, they're good people. They're just trying to survive. And they're not really vicious or mean, but they're just trying to do the right thing. But I think a lot of the times that overshadows this species. With all that being said and done, if you've made it this far into the video, definitely hit that like and subscribe button. A big thank you to our Patreon supporters. We love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. A big thank you to our good friends at Dice Legion. Use the promo code Sinister, get 10% off all your IRL purchases for your games, dice bags, all that stuff. And a big thank you to all of you for helping us hit our goal, helping us hit 2,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and we knocked that out of the park. And we're really grateful to all of you. Thank you for giving a Spooky Kid a chance.